That's it. I'm ready.
Well, as you guys just saw there, we finally have our first look at the first real content drop for Battlefield 2042 since launch, the first full season called 0 Hour. It's going to go live for everyone on Thursday, June 9th, but you can actually already play the base update, the 1.0 patch, right now as that's already released. The new content just won't unlock until Thursday. Unfortunately, it looks like the specialists, one of the most controversial changes from Battlefield 2042, are going to be sticking around, at least for the time being. Because in this new season, we're going to get one new specialist along with the rest of the new content. It looks like DICE really can't decide what they're going to do with the specialists, although they were, it looks like, contractually obligated, having sold a premium version of the game back in November, to release at least a few new specialists along the way. We'll see if they eventually just remove them entirely or reorganize them into different classes like classic Battlefield games, but in the meantime, they have at least given them the mute button treatment. They have finally just completely deleted the end of round comments made by the specialists. They're just completely silent. It's kind of awkward, but I will take that any day over the end of round cringe voice lines.
Angels, dang.
This small tweak actually helps a ton with the game's overall tone, but it's been 8 months of don't be sad, and you just can't easily undo 8 months of 2042 memes. Still though, finally, those voice lines are gone. Before we cover more changes here from the 1.0 patch as well as the upcoming Season 1 content, let's give a shout out to the sponsor of this video, a longtime sponsor here on the channel, Apex Gaming PCs. All of the editing and recording for this video that you're watching right now is all done on my actual Apex Gaming PC. It is my primary PC and it is awesome. Apex is known for using high-end, real components, no off-brand junk, as well as their attention to detail in their builds. As an Apex Gaming partner, if you guys use code RangerDave on checkout while purchasing your own Apex Gaming PC, you can save up to $250 off of the purchase price and also help support this channel along the way. Just check out that link right there in the description for more details, where you can also see 3 pre-approved tiers that I actually helped the Apex build team put together that can also play all the games that I enjoy playing super well. Next up, let's talk about what the Season 1 content for 2042 is actually going to offer. First up, you're going to get that new specialist, Liz. She comes with a rechargeable rocket launcher ability. This is essentially a recharging TV-guided missile. You can store up to 2 launches of this missile at a time, at which point it has a cooldown, and her character also cannot equip any other launchers, rocket launchers that is, into her gadget slots. She can only use her recharging TV missile ability as far as rockets go. Also, any nearby vehicles to her get auto-spotted if they're damaged. We're also going to get one new map with 128 player support. There were a lot of rumors today that higher player count was going to get dropped after Season 1 for future maps, but DICE has clarified this afternoon and said that the larger player counts will be sticking around at least for certain game modes. We're also going to get 2 new air vehicles, a stealth helicopter for each team, just 2 new weapons, a crossbow and the VSS basically, a kind of new gadget, which is a underslung grenade launcher, which fires smoke grenades. Again, a thing that has been around in modern Battlefield titles the whole time, so it's not really that new feeling. And as you would expect for a game that's going to implement a battle pass, we're going to have a ton of vehicle, player, and weapon skins and charms just spread out across the course of the battle pass, which does have 2 tiers, free and paid. All in all, it's about what you would expect for a Battle Pass live service game, just very late and not a ton of content given how long it's taken. Looking at the new map, which is called Exposure, hopefully not a joke there about how exposed players have felt crossing open areas in the launch game maps, it's got a couple of interesting looking areas and finally some more forests. I've really wanted some maps that weren't just barren terrain or barren cityscape, and it looks like we're going to have some true forested areas in this map, just not over most of the points. In the trailer, we had a Demivan Peak inspired little section there, going for that nostalgia hit. It looks like you're going to have some neat areas to fight up and down across with a very vertical style to this map, but it's actually, from what I can see, really hard to tell how it's going to play, even though members of the media and some of the EA Creator Network were invited to play it early. There were apparently a lot of server issues, and a lot of players ended up playing against bots or not being able to play at all. So there's not a whole lot of gameplay to really showcase this new map yet, and I guess we're just going to have to see how it plays on Thursday. Going back to the already live 1.0 patch, I did play for a couple of hours to see how things felt. Wasn't super impressed, but there is some neat stuff in this patch. One of the cool things is new soldier animations. They're more dynamic. They have more transitional phases, I guess you could say. More disconnects between the upper and lower torsos, more natural movement, aiming, leaning, momentum, all that kind of stuff that just makes an FPS game feel smoother has been improved, but it's just one of those things that, again, this game feels like it's an active pre-launch development, not in a post-launch live service with some of these updates. They've also completed some updates and improvements to the netcode for both bullet hit reg, and they've also tweaked weapons to have some more accurate shotguns and some faster muzzle velocity for DMRs and LMGs. This, again, did not come through for me in gameplay. The servers did not feel great, and some of the weapons still felt a little bit off. Vehicles were still noticeably hitching and lagging, and I still had pretty frequent 1 and 2 frame deaths. Everything just felt, like I said, a bit off still, so I would not say that the netcode has had any kind of miraculous recovery in this patch. Going back and playing Battlefield 1 or Battlefield 5 or even Battlefield 4, the servers just feel far more responsive still on those older games. Hopefully 2042 will get there, but it's not there yet. In this patch, DICE also added more transport vehicles, which is absolutely welcome. There's now more spread out across all the maps, so you can easily call them in or just pick one up and get from point to point. But they've also limited the attack aircraft spawns to just one now. The focus here was, of course, to get rid of some of the spammy little bird and attack helicopters, but I think this was just a ridiculous move here, because we're hardly ever going to see the nearly useless jets, because they're also included in that attack vehicle category. And when you've got 64 players all fighting over this one attack vehicle spawn in Conquest, why would you spawn a jet that can do almost nothing for your team when you can spawn one of those choppers and pad your KDR instead? This also means that the flying fortress vehicles like the Condor and the Hind have even less to fear from other vehicles, because their spawn category is still under the transports, and there's plenty of room in that category to spawn these absolutely massive team-based but very powerful vehicles. It used to be really, really important to have a jet around on your team harassing a good Hind or Condor pilot. Now we're just going to have only one of those pilots in the sky at any given time, and I guarantee you guys, they're either going to be in that new chopper or one of the little birds. I also noticed a couple of quality of life changes, I guess you could say. One of which is you can see an icon for incoming missiles that are fired at your aircraft, and I'm really not a big fan of this. It really seems like too much hand-holding at this point. I was quite proud of being able to practice and look for Stinger launches, look for the smoke trail, and try and dodge those missiles manually, by learning how to do it. But now you've got this big glowing icon on top of the missiles to help you dodge them. And I just think, like I said, it's just too much hand-holding. And also, it messes with those awesome-looking smoke trails. You don't have that behind enemy lines moment of looking over your shoulder in the jet and seeing the missile chasing you and you having to dodge it. Instead, you can't even see it. There's just a giant icon over top of it. Not a fan. It looks like in an attempt to make the specialists on the enemy team more recognizable, DICE has also greatly exaggerated the red glow stick effect on enemies at distance and close range, and it frankly looks ridiculous. At long distance, enemies hiding in a bush to try and snipe you are going to be given away not by their scope glint, but by their giant red glowing glow stick. And up close in the chaos, I'm still having trouble telling if a Boris running by, this is, you know, a motion blur for a few frames, if he's enemy or friendly at first glance, even with the exaggerated glow sticks. It's just everyone wearing the same outfits and playing the same characters, but on opposite teams is just super confusing still, even with these glow stick changes. You can also earn a ton more of XP for a lot of things. The list is actually quite long, so check out the full changelog linked down below if you want to see more about that. But beyond that, we're still waiting on a lot of game design updates, like what is DICE going to do for the specialists? Are we going to see some new Portal content? There's some announcements from the Portal devs that we are seeing some content that they're working on for Season 2, but again, that could be a ways off. It just feels like this is a game in not a live service, but an active development cycle. It just feels like we're so far behind here. It just feels odd to me that we're calling this a 1.0 patch 8 months after the game has launched, and when we are still waiting on some really big design decision changes like the specialist, like the rethinking how they're designing the maps with adding more cover in between the large objectives for the higher player counts. There's just a lot of stuff up in the air right now still with this game. So what do you guys think? Season 1, are you going to come back and check out that one new map and the couple of other additional features, or are you going to continue to wait for some larger content drops? I know I've personally seen quite a few people that are really waiting for some Portal updates or just a server browser. I can't tell if the game really is truly almost dead population-wise, or if it's just having some matchmaking issues after this last patch, but I had multiple attempts to get into rounds today where I was in a server with almost no one else, just waiting for the game to start, and no one was joining. So server browser would be great as well. Maybe some of the spectator tools while we're at it. Bring the game up to a true Battlefield game standard, but not sure when that might happen. What do you guys think? For now, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.